E ola no, wau o Kyle Nakanelua, noho au I haiku, ka moku o hamaku aloa, and pilikoko au I ka moku o ko'olau o Maui.
And can you share with us, what is the cultural practice that you're demonstrating here in Ho'omau, and how did you come to learn?
The cultural practice. Okay, first of all, I'm offended by that English term of what it is I do, but not directed at anybody, but just that the tradition and the custom that I carry, hold on to, care for, nourish, is the institution of the mua, or the men's house. It is traditionally the first formal institution of education that a Hawaiian male enters into. Approximately about age 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, basically when they're ready to sit down and start assuming duties and responsibilities. And those duties and responsibilities are basically work. Yeah, work to support the household, the family, the community, and in turn the Lāhui.
Why is Hale Mua important, not just to you and the people that practice it, but to the Lāhui in general?
I can tell you why it's important to me. It's important to me because it's a good model of beginning the education of young Hawaiian males. And as they grow older, to continue their education of conduct and behavior within the society that they live in. So what duties and responsibilities can a 6-year-old have daily in today's world? Yeah, we're not talking 400 years ago. We're talking about today. What can a 6-year-old do in his home that supports the home? Is the parents or grandparents busy making dinner? Every night they gotta make dinner. Every morning they gotta make breakfast. Every afternoon they gotta make lunch, or they gotta make lunch at the morning time to do that. So what can a 6-year-old do? Can a 6-year-old run the microwave and make cereal for him and his 4-year-old sibling? Can he do that? Can he be taught to do that? And can he do that? If he can, then he should be doing that, so that it frees the older sibling up to do something else. Or so it frees up the makua to do the things that they need to do, because there's a shitload of other things you got to do. Get the kids ready, make their lunch, and all this stuff. Yeah. So the mua serves that purpose, where the male in the household, the leading male in the household, has male duties, whatever those are designated. Yeah, and they're not gender specific. So the toilet's got to get cleaned, the rug's got to get vacuumed, the floor's got to get mopped, the car's got to get washed, the dishes got to get washed, the fans got to get dusted, etc., etc. So what are the male's duties and responsibilities in this household? Is the grandparent role model, the grandfather's role model, is it just his duty to sit in the house, drink beer, and tell everybody what to do? I'm not dogging that. If that's his duty, if he's the king and he just orders people around as the king and everybody supports that, then that's his job. You like be the king, then you got to do all the shit he did to get to that point. So if you want it more amicable, let's say it's the grandfather's duty to make dinner every night. And what does that consist of? Cooking the rice, cooking the taro, making the poi, making the uwala, cooking all the complex carbohydrate foods, or running the grill. That's his duty. So how does that 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old get to the point where he can run the grill? Is he standing next to that kupuna and learning how to do that? Or is he not? So if he's not, then who knows when he's going to do it. But if he is, and he's giving an expectation of, okay, I'm teaching you how to do this because when you turn 13, it's going to be your job. Every Saturday, you're going to do this. In Samoa, every Sunday, the 12-year-old make the ʻimu. And he direct all the 10, 11, 9, 7-year-olds what they got to do. And everybody get jobs. Somebody got to make the palusami. Somebody got to prep the ulu. Somebody got to prep the taro. So you got to scrape them, click them, and get all ready. Somebody got to make the fire. So get all this work that this collective of young males do for feed the family. And by the time they're 12 years old, they can make one ʻimu. But I never learned how to make one ʻimu until I was like 30, and I'm still not good, you know. And my father and my uncles was ʻimu people. Every week they make them, you know. But in their time was, get the hell out of here. You're making more problems than I got to deal with. So, you know, it's that kind of society. It was a different world, yeah. And so that's what happens when no more one mua for model opio. They grow up and they don't know how to make an ʻimu, you know. How valuable is that? For me, it's not so much it's a value you can translate into money. But I will tell you, it's a value you can translate into mana. Bruh, if I was 14 years old and I could make an ʻimu all by myself and feed my friends, oh, bruh, I'd be the man. You know? But we never had that. We had hibachis and stuff like that. And, you know, guys could hibachi and stuff like that. But it wasn't like an ʻimu. You know, that's a whole nother construct of pride, of self-resilience and sustainability. And, you know, when you have that as a young person, you're probably less likely to fall into conduct and behavior that's problematic and troublesome for you, for your family, and for your community. You know, that's why I think there's a value in it. That's why I think it's important. Whether other people think it's important or not, I don't know. It might be because they've never experienced it and don't know that there is value in it. Or they might find value in other things. Yeah. And you keep this in mind. I'm talking about all this stuff. It all entails work. Who wants to work? You know, who wants to physically labor? You know, it's a lot of people just rather. I see them on the phone. Workers, people working in the office, in the streets, and freaking on the phone, you know. I get one of my own. Always freaking filming the cutting the grass and shit, you know. Fuck. Fucking guy. You know, it's got to fucking turn the damn thing off. You know, cut the grass is cut the grass. If my grandmother was around, she'd fly the sequel at him. Guaranteed, bro.
So what is Hale Mua? What type of like protocols, practices, and exercises?
Bro, you gotta stop using that word practice. Okay? Nobody's practicing shit. Okay? We're doing shit. Okay? And it's not practice. Not scolding, just saying passionately. You know. What was the question again?
What is Hale Mua? When young men come and sign up and they join the Mua, what can they expect to do? What can they expect to learn? And how does it shape them into?
Okay, so in according to the tradition, there is a place that they come to, and there is an activity that they're going to participate in. There is a pule to open and there is a pule to close. That is basic fundamental from time immemorial. It's male only. It's male conducted, male directed, for males, with males, about males, by males. What about it?
And so, why is this important for young men? You explained that it's important for them to be around the work so that they have a model to follow after, but why is it necessary for men growing up in today's society, or Kanaka Maoli specifically, to perpetuate these?
Well, one of the things is that it provides examples of Hawaiian males and how they conduct themselves. So, monkey see, monkey do. You know, you model yourself after the things you admire. So, if there are strong, smart, disciplined, fun-loving Hawaiian males, and you are a young Hawaiian male, you will look at those examples and go, wow, I want to be like them, or I can be like them, I choose to be like them, or I don't like to be like that. You know, we're human beings, so we all get that choice, yeah? Unless you come from a household that says you no more choice. So in the Hawaiian construct, there's koho'ia and there's koho'ai. And koho'ai is, I get to choose. Koho'ia is, I got chosen. You know, so it's not even, I've heard koho'ia is, you have no choice. I don't believe that. I believe koho'ia is, you were chosen. It's been chosen for you to do this, you know. So that's a Hawaiian value, and it was like that when I was being raised, even though it wasn't called koho'ia. You know, certain things I was expected to do and was going to do and had to do. I held my son accountable to that. There's also some things regarding koho'ia that we as humans eventually come into our life where I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And it's not like I'm the chosen one, but it's like, it's humbling. Yeah, it's like, frick, I just got chosen to do this. Now the responsibility is all on me. You know, so there's another thing too, you know, with regards to the mua and why I do it. It's because it fell to me. You know, it's fallen to others. Others have picked it up along the way. There's a lot of muas that exist out there, and they exist in their own form. And those guys, I believe, feel the weight at some times that they were selected, you know. It's kind of divine providence, yeah.
Do you feel like in today's society, modern, with all the erasure and kind of like colonization that's happened, there's been a real degradation to how we operate in society in terms of in like a Hawaiian lens? Do you feel like Hale Mua is important for young men to be and to reclaim that or to?
If you asked me that 30 years ago, I would agree with you. I cannot. So there are remnants of that narrative that you just gave that exists today, but it doesn't exist here. I mean, Punana Leo or Hoʻomau was only here, right here. The stage was there, the entertainers were over there, the keiki zone was over there, and over here was full. And that was it. There was no Hale Mua, ever. There was maybe 7, 8 men walking around with one alaniho. So yeah, I believe that narrative existed then. But now, in totality, I would say that's not true. Because look at all the halaus you get. Look at all of the artisans you get. Look at all these activities you get. What's that tent over there? The one, that land trust thing? Yeah, you get that land trust, yeah? That Hale, Hawaii Island Land Trust. And they get that Kapoho, that place called Kapoho. This huge acreage of preserved land where they like bring back the fish pond and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That was never exist back then, you know. You get ava ceremony, people drinking ava now in the bars. I mean, you talk about the pendulum swinging, yeah. People never drink ava back then. People never care. And then it started to swing this way, and people started for care. And then it became religious. And then it became ceremonial. And then it reached the political arena, where it was starting to be used as a political tool, like it used to be. And then it got corrupted again and ended up in a bars and people mixing fruit juice and shit with them, you know. So now it's here. And you can argue that it's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, bro, we cared again. Well, we didn't care, and now we cared again. And I like to echo the words of these people that I met in Aotearoa. It was through my friend Che Wilson. And he said they experienced as a people what we're experiencing now. If you just look around, yeah. We, as Kanaka Maoli, are falling in love with ourselves once again. We have an affection for our language. We have affection for our customs and traditions. We have affection for our art forms, our civil duties, our public conduct, you know. Yeah.
Do you feel like Hale Mua played a big role in that transition?
Absolutely. I saw it with my own eyes. You know, it was silent. It was a lot of dark work. Meaning that those within the Mua that started the Mua didn't do the things that they did for self-adoration or for public accolades. You know, some things cannot be helped. You know, you do something neat and everybody goes, yay, yay, yay. The stuff we did in the Mua, nobody was clapping. And if somebody was clapping, we screwed up. It wasn't supposed to be for that. It was supposed to be all this work unknown to ho'ulu, to inspire and regenerate this. So, in growing food, particularly taro, mai'a, uala, the current situation, take fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, not a bad thing, okay, but you take chemical fertilizer and you throw them on a plant. And the plant eat them up. And the plant come big and yeah. In the old world, and not just specific to Hawaii, you feed the dirt. And then the worms eat. And the worms shit, and they make the topsoil. And then the plant eat that. You get one different product. It's a different conduct and relationship with the aina. Then you begin to understand the ai in aina. And not everything is aina. This is not aina. You know, this is not aina. This is honua. I guess figuratively you could say now that it is aina, because look at all the people that it's feeding. Figuratively, yeah, not literally. So anyway, that's, I don't know if that answered the question. I just got lost on the journey.
So since it was such a big part of the transition,
Yeah.
being from where we didn't care to
Yeah.
falling in love with our
Yeah.
culture and ourselves again, how important do you think it is for Hale Muas or Hale's like that, Hui's like that, to be prevalent, to be available for young people?
You can lead one horse to water, but you know, can make them drink. You know, I know what's valuable to me. I know what was valuable to my friends. I know how we benefited from it. I knew how we grew from it. I think it's like eating taro. In the 1980s, not too many people ate taro. I was here. Bro, I seen it. I was a man by then. I wasn't one kid, you know, it wasn't what my grandmother told me. I saw. At parties and stuff, nobody ate. They never bring that. The poi, nobody really ate poi, early 80s. A little bit, the old people ate poi. But as a collective, you don't know how much poi I've seen end up in a rubbish can. You know, really, really unfortunate. But eventually we learned how, yeah, and we found the value in it again. So for me, I honor that stuff. I honor this stuff. Do these people, do the young people nowadays honor this stuff? They might. I mean, there's so much of it that you can, but it's kind of like when you go to a typical Hawaiian pa'ina, and you can put a little bit of everything in your plate. You know, that's kind of what we get now, and then you satisfied, you ma'ana, you know. But would you be ma'ana with just dry aku and poi? Would that satisfy you? You know, it would me. It's just, how do you cultivate that interest other than what's already there? So I'll give you this one. How much people eat sour poi? How much people eat sour poi because they gotta, and how much people eat sour poi because they don't like eat any other poi? So it's just a different flavor, yeah, and it's an acquired taste, and you gotta just have an affection for that stuff, you know. Did I get lost in a question again?
No. This is good. It's good.
Okay.
Do you feel like it's important that we create that desire for these?
Right. It's there. It's just, the question is. So you're asking me that question. The question is, what do you think? You know. So we started the mua. I was young 30s. So how do the 30-year-olds feel about being in that kind of situation? You know, committing to it once a week, 2 hours a night, putting everything in your life into its proper order so that you have these 2 hours a night once a week, so that you have one whole weekend a month that you're separated from family and work and other kuleana. Is there a value in you to do that?
Okay, we're back live again.
Okay.
So, in an ideal world, what would be your hope for the future of the Hale Mua?
I don't have any hope, you know, as whether it. So before I got to it, it was dormant, and I got to it, and me and my friends got together, and we reinstituted it, reanimated it, and regenerated it, regrew it. Yeah, if there are people in this current time that would like to do the same thing, I'm in full support of it. You know, as I said earlier, I find a great deal of value in it. I think it can enrich people's lives directly. So it will invigorate the individual's life that goes through it directly. And what will happen is they'll become so good that they'll be good for the people around them. And so those lives will be enriched inadvertently, you know, just by osmosis and stuff. So, yeah, I'm willing to help guys get whatever they want to get off the ground. I think we had it for us in our time. The time now is totally different from that. So I think whatever needs to be developed for this current generation, I think that's stuff that those collectives have to agree upon and do by themselves. Because that's what we did. We came together as a collective. We looked at what we thought was valuable, and we planned and developed and worked those things that we considered pertinent and valuable. So those things might not be pertinent and valuable today to these people. They might be. I mean, you guys want to reinvent the wheel, super. You know, we can do that. But if you just want to bend it in a way without corrupting it, then that's doable too. Yeah.
So when you talk about jiu-jitsu being something you can support, like if you want to take your son jiu-jitsu rather than Mua because it's a contemporary version of that, how do you feel that the role of a father or a grandfather in today's era, aside from Hale Mua, is important in the lens of being a Mua?
So in the Mua, it's important for the kupuna to provide pertinent, viable information, experience, knowledge, skills, information that strengthens the makua. So advice, strategy, forms of tactics and disciplines. The kupuna provides that for the makua. The makua takes that and physically will manifest those ideas and those ideals, the qualities that are extracted from the work. And then bring along the opio with them as they do that. That's a basic fundamental in any Mua. right? That's your duty as on kupuna, your duty as on makua, your obligation as in opio. So if you think Muay Thai is a way to do that, if you think Jiu-Jitsu is a way to do that, if you think hula is a way to do that, you know, how can you model stuff? So, oh, I think you should go dance ballet, but I know dance ballet. That's bullshit, you know? So you gotta be willing to model and set the example for what you're expecting this individual to do. And are they geared for that? So if you get one kid that he just like grapple and you make him dance hula and he rebel, what, you surprised? Get one place in the Bible which says, educate your children or grow your children in the manner that best suits them. So as on kupuna, as on makua, you gotta look at that kid and say, is this one fisherman? Is this one farmer? Is this one dancer? Is this one singer? Is this one basketball player? You know, what attributes do they have within them? That's your job as the elder. You gotta brush that dirt away and bring that thing forward. Yeah. So that's what pule is, yeah. You sit out there in the dark and you summon that which serves the best interests of everyone, not just you. You know, so yeah, I think there are disciplines out there that exist that can strengthen the human being, and whatever that is, without corrupting or corroding the traditional institution, that's mua-ish thinking. You know, that's the kind of thinking you gotta have in your mua. It's like, what can I do to benefit this individual? What can I feed him? You know, what is he hungry for?
So here at Ho'omau today, you have a booth set up. When people come and walk up and talk to you and they ask questions, what do you hope they walk away having learned or having experienced?
Whatever they came looking for. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be dickish about that, but people come with preconceived ideas. That's what you came for. Then ask the questions and you're gonna get the answers. If those questions that you ask, you don't get the answers that you was looking for, then you came to the wrong place. Then just wash it. Go look for another place. It's okay. But if you had questions in your mind and then you walked away with some answers. But in the mua, I mean, the answers is on you. That's a dangerous part of one mua. You know, you come inside with your mouth wide open like on baby bird and expect to be fed. You're in the wrong house. You gotta go halal someplace, you know, because you gotta learn to feed yourself. And if you're eating, you gotta participate in the preparing and the cleaning and all that stuff. So you get a vested interest in what you're consuming. Huh?
And is there any message, to close this out, is there any message you would like to share to the Lāhui or just the world in general about Hale Mua or about just the Hawaiian culture in general? Or just about being a man?
The olelo no eau is turn the hand down. I can't remember olelo no else, but it has to do with turning the hand down. And your hands turn down because that's what it takes to do the work. So you gotta work. You gotta hana. My grandmother's grandfather always told her, no hana hana no kau kau, poho raisi. You know work, waste of food. You shouldn't eat. It's the same thing. If you like something, you gotta work for them. You gotta sacrifice. You gotta put something on the altar. You gotta bend your back, man. The harder you work, the more viable your product. And that you can glean. You can feed yourself, feed your friends, feed your family, feed your community. This is how the Lāhui grow. What you, Bali?